What up, YouTube? This is Steven Talbot. This is Talby Rex. Today, we're going to talk about Ratchet and Clank. So, yesterday, on Tuesday, Ratchet and Clank came out for the PS4. There was a remake of the original Ratchet and Clank, and I decided to check out the reviews for the past couple of days, checking out the reviews of it because I understand it's an OG PlayStation game. Like, if you look at the series, like if you look at the PlayStation 1, the PS2, like Ratchet and Clank is one of the foundations of the PS2. Along with Jack and Daxter, Crash Bandicoot, a lot of these 3D platformer games. And so I wanted to check out I really was curious about its reviews, and the reviews were really, really awesome. I think if you look at like IGN, it did a 9.0. If you look at other game sites like Polygon and GameSpot, I think they gave it an 8 and an 8.5 around there. And then, which is really good for GameSpot and Polygon actually, because they actually grade it kind of harsher, and so which means it's still like pretty good caliber game if it gets in those rankings. And so if you look at overall in terms of Ratchet and Clank, you would see like you got 9s and 10s and stuff like that. And so it's done really well. And so it got me to thinking kind of an overall big picture, like, is this a smart move by Sony? Is it a very, frugal type move by Sony and Insomniac games? I think it is. And so I kind of really want to make this video kind of showing why it's a smart move for Sony. And so kind of going forward, I think honestly, if you look at Ratchet and Clank, it fills in some voids. And so if you like the first void, I think it really does fill in is this 3D platformer niche. Like if you look at 3D platforming, like it was really big the past couple of years, the last couple of systems, like the PS1 and the PS2 was the heyday of the 3D platformer. Like if you look during that time, like the 3D platformer completely dominated what was around it. Like, that was like during the PS1 and PS2, shooters wasn't really big. Open world games was non-existent. And so 3D platformers is what we got. And nowadays, like people got tired of that. Like, and that's the reason we see RPGs, we see both the shooters getting more and more. And so that 3D platformer has gone away of the wells, but I still think it can get brought back. And I think that's the reason why we see Ratchet and Clank brought in, because it is it's a very known IP, and it's a very safe IP, I think. And so I think I think Sony primarily wants to test, is this a platform is this a type of game that we could bring in and sell lots of copies? And I think Ratchet and Clank is very much a test in terms of that. And so I think that is one area. And I think the second area for me, like, that I really got thinking about, and I think this is the biggest reason why it's very smart for Sony and very smart for Insomniac, is it fills this void for Sony. Like it fills the void for kid-friendly type, family-friendly games that you see that's done. Like if you look around, like you look at Xbox One, like if you look at like in terms of Xbox One, like in terms of what games are getting produced, like Halo is getting produced, Gears of War is getting produced. It's going to come out later this year. You look at look at PlayStation, Bloodborne is getting produced, Uncharted. These are all very, very mature games, and there's not many games for your kids to play. In terms of AAA, big studio type productions. I think there's games like in terms of like indie games, but there's not many kid friendly, family friendly type games that you see. And so I think there is this void. For instance. And so I think, and that's really good. I think for Sony, it protects them. Like, honestly, that's one thing that Sony could sell that Microsoft does not. Like right now, Microsoft really doesn't relax that. They have Minecraft, but Minecraft is on all platforms. And I think that's one thing they could say, we're more family friendly by selling this game. I think another thing, for example, is the Minecraft example. I think Minecraft, I think, is changing the way we think about games in terms of selling it to kids. I think there is like a gold mine for selling it to kids. If you look at Minecraft, like over the past couple of years, Minecraft is ridiculous right now. Like it's always in the top 10, like month after month after month. And I've heard like a couple like game enthusiasts, why is this so? And I think the biggest reason is because the age demographic changes. It keeps always ever evolving. Like for instance, like Minecraft is probably for about ages 7 to 11, possibly to a 14, and kids get older and older, and kids grow out of that. And I think you also have kids that are just getting into that stage of life, and so because of that, you always have an ever growing market, ever changing market. I think because the younger your kids are, the probably more likely they don't have a game system, and that's the reason the more new copies of Minecraft are getting bought in right now. And I think because of that, I think the people at Sony have looked at that and said, we definitely could use that to our advantage. I think Ratchet and Clank is that type of game in terms of sales. They could use that Minecraft base. We're a game that goes for about 7-year-olds to 12-year-olds and probably a little bit higher because we have a really solid story. Because we have that, kids, once they get around that age, they'll buy that game and play that game. And I think because of that, I think that gives this game a very long life compared to other games. Like if you look at Until Dawn, the older 1886, these type of games that came out last year, I think those games actually have a lot less livelihood. I think this game for sure has a very long livelihood. If you look at I remember a couple of years, I remember trying to buy a Ratchet and Clank game a couple of years ago, and I remember how expensive this game is. I think one of the things for Sony to remember, and for both Sony and Insomniac to remember, is this game keeps its value. I think that's one reason that you could sell it for $40, is because this game will probably stay at $30 for the longest time. That is kind of my prediction, is it will probably stay at $30, or probably maybe goes into $20 when they think it's the right time, but I think it will stay at $30 for probably at least a good year, probably even more than that. I think, and so these games very much keep its value, and I think it's a very smart move for Sony because that means more and more money for Sony. So I think that is a very interesting part of it, part of the equation. I think another interesting part of the equation that Sony has kind of lacked recently is they don't have a mascot. They don't have someone to sell copies. I think if you look at Microsoft, they've always had Halo. They always had Master Chief. They always had, Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War to kind of cling to. If you look at Sony, I think they have a lot of first person, they have a lot of stuff that they have created, but they don't have a mascot they can cling into. I think for Sony, it gives them something to cling into. I think that's very smart as well. I think also, if you look at what if the movie and also the game does really well? I think another thing that is a very good smart move for Sony is, what if this movie does really well and this game does? If the movie does really well and people will buy the game, I think that's another win-win for Sony. I think one of the most underrated thing that people wouldn't think about is if you look at the month of April. Before thinking about how big this game could have been, if you look at that, I think you really thought going into this month, you would think Quantum Break. This is Quantum Break's month. This is a month. Right now, Quantum Break is the biggest IP on the Xbox One, biggest new IP on the Xbox One. It was kind of reported recently, and it's doing really, really awesome. It's selling a lot of copies, and a lot of people thought maybe other than Dark Souls 3, it didn't have much to compete against, and Xbox really could have won that month. But I really do think Ratchet and Clank is actually going to change this. I think because if you look at kind of the claim of these both games, I think honestly at the end of the day, Ratchet and Clank will have better reviews. I think they will have more 9s, more 10s, and I think that will attract more people. It's a cheaper game too, and so I think it definitely lessens why you should buy an Xbox One. I think the people that were kind of on we're going to buy a Quantum Break, I think it definitely lessens that to a sense. And so I think that's another reason, other random effect of why Ratchet and Clank is a very smart move. And I think for also kind of looking toward the end of the year, I think this game will have probably one of the longest longevities of right now. I think until Horizons and maybe except Uncharted, of course. I think this game will have very nice long legs. So Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see. I'm very excited about this. Kind of going into Toby Wonders. Guys, what do you think about this game? Do you like it? I'm definitely going to be trying to play it. I want to hopefully buy it. And hopefully I may even show you some gameplay, may not. I may give you my full impressions of this game. I just really thought this was an interesting topic to talk about. And these are type of topics I really want to talk about because I really liked talking about the game industry and how it comes together and how, what are big things, what are things that you didn't think about that could provide real big lasting effects. And so, guys, I really had a good time making this video. Hope you like this video. Like my video down below and subscribe to my channel if you have not. I thank you for subscribing to my channel if you have. I really want to make good videos and try to get people into a community where they can kind of talk about these certain different topics. Thank you. Have a good day. All right, bye.